disconnected. That's cool.
Computer here. Oh, I can hear you loud and clear, boss man. Oh, we got a little lags.
You what?
Just a little lag there for a second.
I think it's because I went out of the.
What's going on, everybody?
All right, we there? We good?
We're cool. May have to give me a second here. Are we charging? I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good. I just busy morning being a dad.
Yeah, new dad life, dude.
Dad life will get to your stuff, get your things, you know.
Man, your baby was so fast asleep.
Oh, for sure.
Like, wow.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
sleep like that.
Yeah. Right?
That's the kind of sleep that we all need, man.
New headphones, anyway. All right, so let's get this going. We're all over the map. We're not charged. Oh, goodness, I am not prepared today.
It happens. New dad life.
For sure.
You're not even probably sleeping the same.
Yeah, it's definitely weird to wake up every 3 hours.
Yeah.
Or every 2 hours, 3 times.
Yeah.
Wake up and be in a fog and not really know where you're at, you know? That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. So, let's win a ballgame podcast number, I don't know.
What's up, Camacho?
Number enough. I'm John Sintez. This is Alex Rojas. For you audio people, we normally get this thing going right after that. Appreciate you guys jumping in and checking us out live. We will replay this on YouTube, and you can see it, the audio, or listen to the audio version on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So, Alex, thank you so much, my guy. Appreciate you, taking some time out of your day, jumping in here, doing your thing. What's new?
Nothing, man. Growing the program at TPC. A lot of rain today, so there's not going to be any baseball had outside here today. So if you need a place to hit or work on some throwing, TPC, we're here in Livermore. Outside of a shameless plug, dude, I did some light research on who's leading the NCAA to start my day. Just kind of looking at some things in some certain categories.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, UNLV is hitting, in the Mountain West, UNLV is hitting 434 or something like that, leading Division I just as a team, absolutely raking. But then Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech are right underneath that, going back to what you and I always talk about, watching wheels. I've watched Georgia Tech swing it, and they've silently, I think, have 2 or 3 guys that have 12-plus dingers. That's pretty good for a team that maybe you don't hear about but Georgia Tech's always had good baseball. Tons of big leaguers have played at Georgia Tech, and they develop guys.
You know what's interesting? I always, you've said 2 different locations, and every time my brain goes, what part of the country is that, and does the ball fly? And both of those places are ball flies. Atlanta and Georgia Tech is downtown, but it's up, there's elevation, and it's kind of a smaller park, like a typical college park, not like a college park trying to be a pro park. And so it's interesting. And then UNLV is in Vegas, so wind aided, whatever you want to say right there. But you still got to hit the ball. So, but just the pitcher in me immediately goes, where are we geographically in the world? And does the ball, and then what's the humidity situation, and does the ball go?
Right. Dry place, UNLV, don't get a lot of rain. You know what I mean? But you're up there. It's a desert. It's a sandbox.
100%.
Winds howling. How are you, man? How's things down there?
Good, man, good. Just Thursday, got a little short day here at the shop. Gonna head over to, speaking of, I gotta find out if there's double practice or solo practice. I think I can only make the second one actually today, too. So, let me send a message to Decker about that. So, yeah, things have been going well here, in-season training. For a lot of you guys that don't necessarily know how to train year-round, like training year-round is not bad. You should be training year-round. You just need to change your focus on what the ideas are as they go through the season. So, I see a lot of kids get yipped up and get real nervous during the season as it goes because all the hard work that we did wasn't necessarily in the competitive space against hitters. So, as a pitcher, it's very important that you take time away from the game to focus your brain and execute ideas, but still in the competitive space of like what the game is. Yesterday we had a kid, for example, that was just like ball, leg lift, throw, ball, leg lift, throw, ball, leg lift, throw. I'm like, you gotta treat it the same. You gotta like fake it your sign, come set, control your breath, right, and try to repeat these steps over and over and over. And once you can get to that autopilot side, then you can do it more of the big leagues. But it's a common misconception that that the delivery is repeatable, but the thought process is repeatable. So you have to be able to create this almost mantra on the mound where you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm looking for, now this is what I'm trying to feel, and then now I execute.
Repetitiveness.
Right.
Rinse, wash, and repeat.
Right. Yeah, so college baseball, let's see, I haven't even checked any today. I didn't get a chance to get on my computer, so I don't know where we're at. So you update me on where we're at. How about that?
So to start things, couple of teams that I got my eyes on. Miami's back. They're real Cuban. They're real left-handed, and they hit the ball very hard. Mm-hmm. Back when they had a Nike contract and Yonder Alonso was playing there. Dude, for those of you who don't know, when the Beezer era existed, which at this point I'm seeing some guys hit home runs with BB Core bats, I'm just like, all right, now we're back. We're back to where we left 10 years ago, 12 years ago. Like, I saw a guy at Texas A&M, big old donkey. I think he's like number 25. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Mm-hmm. But he hit a ball out at Texas A&M. Now, I've never been to Texas A&M, but I know how tall a batter's eye is. And then they have what looks like a scoreboard that's above the batter's eye, and I believe he hit it over both of those things, right? Granted, he's still a donkey, but, I mean, guys looked like they were doing the same thing with the orange and blue stuff, like back in those Beezer days. So that's just one thing that I would love to talk about. I had a conversation with a parent, another wood bat, metal bat conversation. And another thing that I want to talk about is to a pitcher. I'm going to talk about this as a hitter first and as a catcher, right? As a catcher first, there's nothing more like – I've been in a couple car accidents where your gut kind of you know what I mean? Like when you get in that bad spot, when you know something bad's going to happen, your gut gets like those knots, right? Like the legitimate knots. Sometimes you get those when a guy hangs a breaking ball and you know this guy's about to hit it a mile. Yeah. I've seen a lot of hanging breaking balls get hit out to the pull side. And quite often when I drill curveballs in our facility and I have hanging curveballs, I don't see guys try to sell out the same way as I would see a guy in college sell out. Now, I'm not saying trying to hit a home run, but what I'm trying to say is getting the head out on these hanging breaking balls instead of really trying to see it deep and still trying to go the other way. I've seen a lot of aggression in these hanging breaking balls that I don't tend to see at a younger age. And I think a part of that is you haven't done the math enough to figure out, that ball sucks. No, I can really hit that hard, right? The math on that is not going to beat me. The math on that is I just got to put a good swing on it. Right. So from your perspective, right, you've thrown plenty of hanging breaking balls and good breaking balls, right? So when you throw a hanger and you get away with it, right, why do you think that is?
Good question. I would say probably the fact that, so many people teach them to not swing at spin, and the rep count from spin to fastballs, 1,000,000 to 1.
Mm.
So I think it's just, not being familiar with the idea and the shape, So
Yeah.
like what it's gonna do, and like they can't recognize like a small arc as opposed to a big arc,
Right.
or when does the arc start? You know what I mean? That's what we always talk about in speed ranges and three-dimensional pitching. The reason why every kid needs a cutter, curveball, and slider is because of the ability to change speeds with movement when it happens. Right? Curveball would be the earliest moving breaking ball, then slider, then cutter. So that speed ladder, or what you have inside of spin, also affects when it moves and what the batter sees. So
There's also a breaking aspect to that, like how those pitches move off each other.
Right. And so like each, I would say, 9 times out of 10, 9 out of 10 times people are taught not to swing at spin first pitch. And so if you can literally flip your order and be like slider, fastball, like you're just a better pitcher. Just right, instead of going fastball, slider. That's what most guys do. Most guys throw a slider second pitch or a breaking ball second pitch. And you can watch it in all these college games. They get ahead of the fastball, they throw a slider or a breaking ball, whatever you want to call it. So if you just change that order and stay away from those patterns, then it's just a lot harder for guys to get on it.
That's really true, because that's the idea of pitching to fool the hitter based on that, I'm just blanking off the top of my perceived velocity. But it's more of perceived spin. Like you're establishing a zone, and then if you can execute, right, and you're really good at repeating, that spin on that cutter, slider, curveball should relatively look the same until a certain point, and then it just does a different thing. So from that point, I feel like a big thing is, like, I do see a lot of guys when we are talking about watching wheels. I do see a lot of guys that, and this is what I feel like. Again, guys have to be explosive in order to throw hard, and I understand that. But sometimes I feel like when we have these explosive natured curveballs that you're assuming they're going to explode out of the zone because you're just trying to hammer it instead of knowing, like, hey, like what you're talking about, like, I'm in Tennessee right now, and it's May 2nd, and it's hot as shit and muggy, right?
We're in the mountains.
Right? Like, there's different types of factors there, right? So it's like understanding, like, this thing may not hammer today, so I may have to actually spin the shit out of it, not throw the hell out of it. I feel like it's a lost thing. Like, I was watching a kid yesterday. He goes to Cal High next to, it's in San Ramon. Their freshman team is undefeated. I think they're like 17-0 right now in a pretty good conference. Pretty good. And he was just throwing a curveball cutter combo. And one of the things that I was noticing off the bat was just the difference in how he was throwing those pitches, right? Like, he was definitely throwing his cutter like a fastball, but he was throwing his curveball like a curveball. He was trying to bang it. He was trying to make this thing move instead of just like what you taught me when we talked on the phone like 2 years ago. Hey, just sit down and just do this. And just feel that spin come off your fingertips. Then you're really going to know how your pitch works. Because it goes all the way down to that. Because that's what's holding the ball, right? Were these really, like, simple ideas. So to all you hitters out there, okay, if you recognize, and this goes to, like, how do you hit on deck, right? Like, what are you looking at on deck? Are you looking at the release point? Are you just timing this guy's physical movement up and not even looking at where he throws the ball? Hey, does he have a certain grip? Like, is he a small-handed guy, but he's got a splitter, so he's got to jam his fucking hand in there to start the at-bat, right? Like Aroldis Chapman the other day, they totally showed him going to a splitter grip. His hands are so massive. He didn't even, like, really work hard. He just kind of made, like, a peace symbol and just slid his hand out. It was so smooth. But that guy's a big-handed guy. So the ball's like a golf ball in his hands. Right. He can manipulate it and do all these things. However, if you're a 14-year-old kid, right, which you probably are if you're watching this, or if you're a college kid, most of you guys aren't freaky-handed, right? Those are the guys that, if they are, you already know what I'm talking about. They probably start with just a fastball grip, and they can just spin the hell out of it because they got those big, fat, long John Sintes fingers, right? So if you think about what John talked about while it's hailing outside, God bless. I mean, those are solid. Those are real solid. He talked about a cutter, so cutter may move more laterally, let's just say for sake of argument, and then a slider is a little bit more of the Z plane, and that curveball is more of that Y, less of the Z. If you just know how to work those, and I'm not saying that's how it works. I'm just using it as the sake of argument. So you got something that goes this way, something that goes that way, and something that goes down. And then you have a fastball that goes straight off that. If you can start to recognize that on deck as a hitter, like, oh, this guy throws this pitch, and that pitch. You don't even have to know how he uses them, but you got to know how the math and how, like he talked about, the 3 dimensions of those work. Because that's an art of the game that I don't think people talk about. That's what it's. Let's say something real philosophical. This is like a Renaissance conversation. Right? People were talking about Cubism and fucking surrealism and, hey, Andy Warhol and Picasso, right? And it's like, no. It's a different thing now. It's a different thing now. It's not about maybe the texture of the paint or the lighting. Now it's more about, like, what are we painting? Can we talk about what we're actually painting? Like, well, what's happening is he's like a curveball, right? He's creating this 3-dimensional shape that you can't tell when it's going to start to change its shape. That's the goal, is for you to have no idea on when the shape's going to change. I was talking to a parent about that last night with fastballs and guys that throw harder. And my immediate answer was, like, how much are you doing on deck? Like, if you're just, like, assuming, oh, I have to swing faster because this guy's throw faster, that's a thing. But also, you could just start sooner.
Right.
And his dad was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. Very simple.
Yeah, there's just so many different ways to make adjustments on the process, right? So, you know, it's one of my favorite things to show. I don't even think kids understand. Like, if I know what you were taught, how you're trying to swing the bat, I literally don't need any more information. I can just throw the pitch that you cannot.
Yes. Because you can't tell what it's doing. You don't know where it is. You don't know where it's going to end up.
It's one of the things that I like to watch for. I notice that a lot of big league guys that face the wrong direction to do their practice swings, because it, like, exposes the direction that they're trying to do. So, like, that's interesting. They'll put their back to the pitcher and do, like, do their swing. It's like,
Yeah.
Trying to hide some shit there, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's even pro guys. I think there's a lot of pro guys that don't necessarily see the game for what it is either, and the process that they have as they go through turns into a problem.
I agree. I like what you said, like, and you talk about it all the time. It's like, I don't have to throw you a fastball. I just found out that you don't know what this thing is that I just threw to you. I'm just going to keep doing it. It's very valuable information. Like, I love when the kids give me, like, this look of just like, oh, fuck, coach. Because I'm going to just, hey, we're just facing curveballs tonight. Like, on the pitching machine, they're just like, but it's like your homework is being done. Like, now you don't have to go out and play travel ball and have to sit through 4 hours of traffic to play 2 games, right? You're seeing 37 curveballs in a night, and you're going to do that how many times in a year, right? As opposed to just seeing it in games. Like, you got to get exposed to stuff that's going to break you. Like, it's going to break your swing. You're just like, oh, man, like, I had a rough day. It's like, that's all right. I can fix it.
I always say it this way too. Is another way to say it. I just feel like a lot of people play the game on easy. Like, when you were going to start the game, you'd be like, I'm going to play on easy. I was always the guy who's like, let's see what hard's like. Let's start here. Because if hard is easy and I can figure it out, it's going to be way more fun, right?
Way more fun.
Just because there's more. So, I see that all the time, and that's what's kind of fun. Like, sometimes I'll watch some of the Twitch guys stream the show, and you figure out you can do a quick Google, who's the number one show, player or whatever, and Twitch streamer, and you can literally go watch them talk about their process and do whatever. And I've actually messaged some of them, and I'm like, so when you're sequencing your stuff, how are you doing it? Because it's still human versus human there, and the elements of the game still play. So I'm a big fan of video games that emulate the sport of baseball, that even some of those simple tap games. Like, it's still timing and visualization and trying to figure out how long does it take him to swing the bat for how long the ball's coming in, and how do you meet it.
Is tap baseball still a thing?
I think it is. I just got mad for it the other day. Yeah.
Let's talk about. Did anybody give you a sequence you want to talk about?
I threw a couple of my ideas out there, and I think it's all going to change when we get the actual strike zone for what it is. Because it's just I find it really interesting that you really can throw whatever you want as long as you can execute that little thing, right? The little thumb thing that has to do, and you can put it in there. So. There's pitches like up changeups that are going to like drop in on the top of the zone. Curveballs that are massively high are going to drop in the top of the zone. It's really impossible to get a ball to go up. So I think the bottom of the zone is going to disappear unless you absolutely paint it at the knees. But everybody bitches about the knees anyway. I mean, I saw Ozzie Albies being a cornerback wearing his pants above his knee on purpose just because he probably knew he could trick the umpire. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just like, there's little things like that you can see that happen. So, there's a lot of these pitches where catchers are diving across wherever for strikes, and it looks bad, and people get upset that it looks bad, but, that's just the game. The game is a consistent box,
Yeah.
If we have to adjust it per height, I'm sorry, Judge, you have a bigger box. Jose Altuve. It's just a part of the game.
It's just a part of the game, man.
I mean, good job to Altuve for, actually hitting pitches above his letters out of the yard. He does it all the time.
All the time. It's actually probably one of his best qualities.
Yeah.
He's actually better at it than Mike Trout. So do you remember the early driveline live at-bats where they had that little, it was almost like a catcher metal box thing with
Yeah, it's called a 9-pocket. Yeah, we have one.
So that, right? I always thought, I was like, now, for argument, if that was the strike zone and you just threw it and wherever it hit, obviously it would be a shit show. Go get the fucking ball, just hit the fucking side corner, right? But just the idea of just no. It clipped the side, you're gone. It was very simple because you would have guys take, but it just hit the side of the bar, right? So, yeah, it wasn't a clear flush shot, but that's the idea. That's still a strike. The rules are...
It's a little big. It's a little tall.
Right.
For what the real zone is. Matter of fact, we cut it down, the top row doesn't even... if I hit the blue... And when I throw to it, when I do live at-bats, if I hit the blue bar on the top, we don't count it. But if I hit the...
Why is that? How tall is it?
High. It's too high.
Okay.
It's not real.
But the idea, you get what I'm saying?
Just
the idea.
Sure.
Just the idea.
That's what wiffle ball and blitzball do, right? They have a constant...
That is a massive strike zone. Right. Did you see that 13-year-old chew up Jose Bautista like fucking gum? It was beautiful. Yeah. He threw one, now, I don't know how these blitz balls work, right? But it looked like a rising fastball. Legitimately, it looked like it went up. And it was just a two-seam on the outside corner. And even Jose looked at the kid how'd you do that? How'd you do that? Tell me how you did that.
Exactly.
There was hanging breaking balls. What else did I have to talk about? I said it on a text message. I'm going to try to figure it out. Oh, my God. So here was one thing that I saw, just talking college baseball, right? I've seen a lot of guys that are in our facility that have potential to play at these, and I'm not saying this to bash the school when I say it, but there are some Division I's that aren't in the Power 5 that people don't talk about because that's almost just the idea of just hey, think of your favorite burger joint, right? Somebody may say a fast food joint because they've been there more, but really your favorite burger joint is this little steakhouse downtown Livermore, right? Or wherever it is, right? So Davidson, the University of Davidson in Ohio, has not only a top ERA guy, one of the best ERAs I believe he's a starter, could be a closer. But then they also have a guy who's 5th or 6th in the nation in batting average, right? Also, I think it was either them or I was just looking up some random stats, but a lot of these Power 5 schools aren't dominating because of how good these schools are, right? You know how hard it is to hit 400 in the SEC when guys are just throwing 96 to 99 with swords and changeups that don't make sense? Good luck, right? That's going to be hard, right? But at UNLV, again, not knocking the competition, but you're not throwing like that guy, right? So for a recruiting thing, right, how do you get guys to realize that there are more things out there? Because we did talk about those 4 tournaments, right? There's like 4 big tournaments, right? You just got to go play at those, and good things tend to happen, right? But how would you recruit yourself, right? Because there's other schools out there that obviously it may not work out, but how would you, and I don't know if that's, because brand yourself sounds whack, but it's like, how would you help,
right?
you know what I mean?
You have to sell yourself. I mean, you have
Yeah.
to sell yourself in every version to get that through. So, like, you're talking about as a pitcher, like, if I were to go back,
just a young man playing the game right now, because there are some good guys at our facility but they just don't know, like, where do I go? I'm like, bro, you can play D1 in Ohio, you can play high level D2 at Chico State. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. And they're blown away that you know.
I think one of the biggest advantages to right now to what it was before is there are numbers that make sense and the people that know the numbers. And I hope a lot of the colleges are able to read the Rapsodo data and understand what unique pitches are. But I mean, that's the thing I would do. I would make a bullpen highlight showing all my pitches and my spin rates and whatever. I mean, we will never know because I know that I was a high spin rate guy, especially when I threw hard, for sure. Because I could see my ball now like jump. You know what I mean? Especially when I was throwing 94, 96. So, being a spin rate guy, even at a low velo in high school, being 86 to 87, I was still, quote unquote, blowing balls by guys. But knowing what I know now, I wasn't blowing by them. They were underneath it because it's different than what everybody else is doing, So being able to show all the different types of pitches that have consistent spin and consistent location, that's like your foot in the door kind of thing. And then I'm sure coaches want to see it. So, like, I'll put stuff on Twitter. I'll put stuff everywhere. Here's my bullpen. Here's my numbers. Sign me up. I mean, you guys that don't know it, fastballs over 2,000, curveballs and sliders almost 3,000, cutters over 27, and changeups under 19 are your best numbers. Those are simple numbers. If you're not around it every day like we are, then you have no idea what those numbers mean.
How many colleges do you think actually use those as metrics that they measure?
Honestly, I think they all do, but I don't think they understand how to process like what it does. I haven't
Got
seen anybody. Tennessee might be the first.
Some bad motherfuckers out there.
They all have different tools, but all of their tools are plus, and you can tell it's data created for what's going on. I mean, the Friday night guy for Tennessee throws like an 89-mile-an-hour cutter that's probably 12 inches. And he just consistently throws it under left-handers' bats. And they look like they've never even seen the pitch before.
Yeah, and then they get it to a 3-run lead, and you're in a fucking hole.
Right.
Speaking of Tennessee, see that first baseman when he slid home and he hit the bench warmers? Beep. Yeah. That dude's hilarious.
Fun. They really do.
So I think that they are one of the most watchable teams in all of baseball. Professional, collegiate, like they're just watchable. Very, very TV friendly.
TV friendly, yeah.
I guess that's what we want. So what else, man? Like would I, like, let's say.
You there? Oh. There we go. You're back now.
Sorry.
Okay.
Let's say I'm a 17-year-old senior, about to be 18, right? And I got some social media accounts. Would you just start using your social media as a place to just hey, here's my bullpen from today? Would you get personal and email these places your YouTube videos and stuff like that? Because that's what I did. I would email these guys videos and game as much as I could, right? Just because it wasn't.
Knowing what I know and the people that we talk to over here, they want to see it in person, right?
Right.
So, it's got to be a plan of doing that, right? Reach out to the school that you're trying to get a hold of and then set up, can you come throw a ask if you can come throw a bullpen. They're going to invite you to their camp. You're going to have to pay to go to the camp, If they only throw bullpens, find out when you can face batters so you can really show what you do. Because you can get lost in the mix of bullpen. Everybody's trying to blow it out. They can label you as low effort guy or a high effort guy or a non-strike thrower. But there's like, it's not really the game. Back to that, I went to
Yeah, that's true.
I
That's
should
weird
have
to
gone there
judge a
way
guy
more.
without a batter in there. That's
Pull
so
out.
weird.
Don't you remember I told you about my high school experience? Like, me up until college, I thought bullpens, you went like 60%. So I would go to these showcases and throw a bullpen and just, the coaches would be like, I thought you threw like 88. I'm like, yeah, it's the bullpen. It's not the game. Like, I thought I was in the game.
But that's
You know
true.
what I mean? So, it's just, there's a lot of interpretation that goes into that stuff, And then on the same sense, you got kids throwing 95, 96 in high school, and they're getting over-recruited to the point where maybe they don't understand, like, what the truth is. And I see that a lot, too. I see that where there's a lot of kids that don't, they'll throw 19 fastballs in a row. And that's a bad strategy, dude.
You got to know how to value yourself in this game. You got to see your own value.
Well, like, what are you the best at? I think that's where most people think, my best pitch is my cutter. Weird, right? I'll let you know about it, but I know it's really hard to hit because it's the latest moving pitch of all my pitches, as well as like where I execute it. In this most recent outing, I was able to locate first pitch cutters all day, and just strike one on everybody. And then once you strike one, everybody thinks that they're speed. It's kind of funny. People think they're speed if you strike one. They're like, oh no,
Dude, I was having a conversation with one of our guys because he's facing. So there's some left-handed pitcher that goes to Cal High, the same one that has an undefeated freshman team. LSU recruit, left-handed. Apparently, he's up to like 95. I would love to watch him, but I work on Fridays. I got to go watch him play. Anyways, he was just talking about him. I was like, "Have you faced him yet?" He was like, "No, I'm not as much nervous to face him as I am. I'm eager." I was like, "Well, that's good." And we were just having a conversation about it, and I was like, "You know what would probably be great for you?" And he was like, "What?" I was like, "You could probably ambush that guy 0-1." And he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, he's probably got a set plan. He's probably like, if I throw a fastball for a strike, I'm going to throw a breaking ball. If I throw a fastball for a ball, I'm going to throw a fastball again." He was like, "You think?" I'm like, "Probably. Like, he's going to go 95. Oh, he missed. I'm going to throw 95 again." Right? Then you're going to be like, "Oh, two fastballs, gear up for a third one. Here comes a breaker." Or, "Here's the fastball. I'm ready for the cheese. I'm 17 years old." Right? And then bang. Right? Makes sense. So I'm curious to see how that's going to work out. Got a little game plan for him. But
what about
this one?
What about no swing your first at bat?
Dude, I love that.
Just
I love no
aggressive takes.
swinging.
Like
Yes.
aggressive takes.
Yes.
Especially in high school, like you could literally wait out most of these kids. Wait them out.
Yeah. Unless the kid, like, like, hey, this dude's coming at you. Like, he's just going to throw right down the dick. It was like 90 miles an hour. He's like, here you go. There are some guys that are like that. But for the most part, I don't disagree with you at all. You could probably go up there, Barry Bonds versus Tim Lincecum approach. How are you going to hit him? Not going to swing. Eventually, he's going to throw something bad.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I love doing that in the, I love doing that when I was playing. Just being like, either hacking to fall down to swing first pitch, or just like super aggressive takes. Like, just.
Yes.
And then
I celebrate two things like that at our facility. Those exact things. I celebrate tough hacks and when guys fall down. Love them.
Yeah, it's just, it's pretty funny, the game. The more you watch it, and you watch the game, you're around these kids and these people, and, I don't see anybody, like, trying to prove things that, to find out if it actually works or not. It's just like, all right, well, we'll just compete. And I don't even know what that means. What does that mean? Showing up? I'm going to stand here. I'm just going to throw the ball right down the middle and see how I compete. Like, that's, it always just brings me into other things. It's like in college, you go fastball changeup only. And the coach is like, you should be able to win with your fastball. I'm like, he's got a metal bat. What are you talking about? I pitched in the Besser era. Like, when it was like, one thing if he's got a wood bat, right? Like,
He's got a gun.
2.5 times the size a metal bat is to a wood bat on sweet spot. I think it's what it is. Something like that. Something.
No way.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Yeah, it's like 2.5 times
That's
bigger
so
on a
dumb.
metal bat than is a wood bat.
That's so whack.
Once again, where are all these American hitters that are winning all these PG tournaments, getting all these accolades? Where are all those guys getting 3,000 hits? Shut up, Mickey.
Man.
It's safe to say that guy probably never swung a aluminum bat.
Hey, Yankees intentionally walked Miguel Cabrera instead of giving up hit number 3,000. Fuck those guys.
Montgomery's like, I'm not putting my name in.
I'm not doing that.
I'm going to be out in the fourth today. I don't think my name's going up to that.
George Steinbrenner's ghost is like just hovering.
Up the home run, the 73rd home run. It's like everybody who had the record broken against them, like their names on the record. Like,
David Price, Derek Jeter, hit number 3,000. Big old bomb too. He went 3 for 3 off you that day. He went 5 for 5 on the day. Eat a dick, David Price.
Dude was definitely ready to get that done.
Sorry, David. You're a great pitcher. You are.
Mm-hmm.
Super left-handed, though. Just how he moves and everything, that dude is as left-handed as it gets, right? But so here's recruiting. Back to 101, right? Like, that guy goes to Vandy, right? I can name another guy that guy played with who played in the big leagues. He's gone. Pedro Alvarez was a Pirate for a long time. I think he played for somebody else. I'm sure there's another guy out there. There's a couple guys that were on the most recent College World Series team for Vandy, right? But I don't know if those guys were, and I don't know because I'm not in the Perfect Game Circle or the Baseball Factory, the Under Armour All-American Circle, right? But if those guys were in it, what were they doing? Because they're succeeding better than, the other 99%. And you can't tell me it's like that hard because we have baseball academies in other countries that they just kind of do that thing. You got these families that just they figured stuff out. What was I got a great friend named Mitch in Indiana. He coaches not for. I want to give him a plug right now, but I can't. Anyways, he's a pitching coach out there, and he just sent me this video that had to do with World War II, right? And these scientists looked at these planes that made it home from World War II. And they said, do you see where it has all the gunshots? That's where we need to put metal sheets there so the gunshots don't pierce it. And then this other guy was like, no. He goes, those planes made it home. That means they still flied and landed, right? Where were the planes that didn't land, right? Because clearly we need to look at what hit those. Right? And people are like, what are you talking about? But it's just the idea of like, sure, you can look at these really successful people, but like, why aren't these kids working out, right? Like, why are a majority of our perfect game kids not making it to play for the Colorado Rockies, right? Why is that not happening? And I'm going to say Tink is a big number one. You got these DeMarini the Goods and these Voodoos and these East. Like, I really do believe that. And I use metal bats, but the more that – there's my crazy hat here. Sorry, Internet. But the more that I watch kids hit with metal bats and then I watch them hit with wood bats and I can see the difference, it's not even the confidence. The confidence changes, right? But then – right? Once a kid starts to get comfortable and then they maybe buy a wood bat they like, then they start getting like a little bit like, oh, I can hit the ball hard with that, right? And it's almost like the hitting is contagious idea. Mm-hmm. They believe in them, not only their swing, but their own ability. Like, oh, I don't need to be 200 pounds, hit the ball 90 miles an hour. No. Just square it the fuck up. Mm-hmm. Square it up, swing hard.
Yeah, I mean, 200 pounds helps, but...
You'll hit the ball. Hey,
people still getting hurt that are undersized and regular sized,
right?
Sized and
right.
You know what I mean? Like people, I don't know. It's a good one too as well.
What are the we've got bomb bat, So we got bomb bat. That's a wood bat that doesn't break. We've got D Marini. Are there any other ones you can think of off the top of your head?
There used to be like a bamboo stick or something like that. Someone used to make like a pieced bamboo that didn't break. That was super hard and hurt your hands. By the way, you don't want hardwood, by the way. You want soft.
Yeah, a little flexy.
Yeah.
That's the Birdman bats. Those guys are all birch. I think they're all birch, I think.
Yeah, I saw Albies had one the other day. We met those guys in the ABCA. They met us.
Yeah, they're up by me. They're like an hour and a half away from me, maybe within that, I think.
That's dope. Sure. That's dope for sure. Okay, well, I think this is a good time. You got to go in just a few minutes, and I think we're good here.
Hold on. A Zinger composite. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
I didn't even know Zinger made a composite either. That's interesting.
Now we do.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, I got a long day today. I gotta do some more type. I'm breaking down some swings on video and just typing some shit out. Getting real fundamental. Not really.
Okay. Well, this has been great, dude. I love getting on here with you and then catching up and putting some stuff out there. Guys, if you have any questions, please DM us and we'll put some stuff out. Maybe we should put a poll out and see if we can get some people to provide some feedback.
Are you doing live at bats tomorrow?
No, I'm actually playing golf tomorrow.
Okay.
We broke the streak. I don't even know what the streak was at, but next week it was a long season. We're not doing live events. I don't think for the next couple until we get it. There's a couple guys rehabbing on gap years right now that should be in the next month. I think in May. So we'll probably definitely June for sure, but May we will probably have one or two in there as well. So we'll see how it goes.
Guys, check out those live at bats. Just a lot of good.
If you want to watch them, we put them all on YouTube. They're amazing. You can watch them anytime you want.
It's I'm going to start merging more vocabulary. It's like watching guys roll jiu-jitsu or spar in boxing. It's just like, it's free. Just like, what are these guys doing that make them good, or what are they doing that make them get punched in the face?
Yeah, I think I keep throwing too, so I can help people like understand that. That's like, yes, you should have a fastball at 90, but you do not have to throw it like all the time. You know, you're. I talked to this the other day. This made a lot of sense. I was playing sequence with the family, and the way I think about pitching is like I have cards. I don't want to throw the same card out each time. I want to throw a different card to the hitter every time I throw a card out. So he has no idea what card is coming. Mm-hmm. So if you could be more random like that, it's just a lot more fun. Yeah, harder to do. Don't get me wrong. Definitely harder to do than just throwing the same pitch over and over. But like, that's fun.
But you're not chaotic for chaotic. You have like a sequence in mind. You're like, you're going to think it's chaos as a hitter, but you have an art form in your head where it's like, no, there's structure there.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. All right, my brother.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Yep. Let's win a ball game. Podcast coming at you, whatever number it is. I think 25. I don't even know.
We're up there.
Downloading and catching up on it. But we got all the way up to episode, I believe, 10 on the Cutternation YouTube channel. So we'll be moving stuff all over the place, and then I believe 7 on Spotify and Apple Music. So we will finish all of these soon, have them all up everywhere real soon.
Yeah, I'm hearing guys at our facility are listening to them, so they're like tuning into them.
Sweet. Thanks,
all right, brother.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
You too, buddy.